Be giving Ixu or Lyra the Gragas. So what is it going to be for SBENU? Do you even consider possibly banning the Gragas on blue side? Well, it's going to be Zed.
Zed immediately, so that's not too surprising. As we discussed before, that Mickey just loves that champion, will blind pick it on occasion. So take that one off the board, and that frees up Saucin. It gives him a little bit more of a comfortable spot to pick up the Azir. So we might see that one come out for him. It's going to be Nidalee. So I think Nidalee is on the fast track to become our #1 banned champion.
Yeah, to put the Kalista picks from Afreeca in comparison, there have been 71 total picks of Kalista this season between the 10 teams, and 12 of them have been from Afreeca. So a large proportion of the Kalista, it will be banned this game against them, but surprisingly high number of Kalista picks that they've actually managed to secure for themselves.
Yep. Puppy banned away by the Freaks. That is a pick for Ixu as well, but he's shown flexibility in the top side, but they want to take that one away from Soul this time around. And Trundle will be the final ban from SBENU. So maybe looking for a Nautilus in the top side of the map. And Lee Sin, of course, has to be the last ban against Flawless. You don't want to give that over to him. I think it's, what, a 3-1 record currently on that Lee Sin, which is the majority of SBENU's game wins.
Yes, that is certainly the truth. And like you said, yep, 3-1. Out of 6 wins, so fully half of them have come with a Lee Sin pick from Flawless, and he is really good on that Lee Sin. So Corki will be the takeaway here.
Yep, Corki makes it through. Kindred's still available.
SBENU has been, well, they won one of their games against Kongdu with a Corki. And that will likely preclude the Azir pick for Saucin. So probably just going to be Corki and then an AD carry, unless Saucin wants to go for the Varus. Sivir could be a first pick here for Songyun.
Well, wouldn't be surprising, just with how consistent of an AD carry she can be.
Yeah, the Gragas, Afreeca will pick that every time. It's so core to their pick ban identity these days on the red side. And you never know where it's going to go. Is Ixu going to take it? Is Lyra going to take it? Both of them doing well.
Bring it back in the mid lane.
Yeah, 3-1 for top lane Gragas for Afreeca.
And now toying with the Braum Maokai, so that'd be good, taking the Braum away, denying Afreeca the Unbreakable to try to mitigate that poke damage that'll be coming out from this Corki. Varus still available. They might just run a Varus Corki composition.
I think it's probably going to be Varus for Saucin. That just would make sense given the nature of their draft right now. And
if that's the case, then I want Mickey to run J4.
Maybe he'll play Fizz too.
Yeah. Do a really good game on Fizz, get the MVP, and get interviewed and say, well, Faker needs to practice Fizz more.
There you go. That's going to be the meme this season. Snowflower thinking about a Bard here. They would have some long-range engage onto the back poke line if the Bard is selected, but you are vulnerable to the poke, low HP.
Mickey toying around with the idea of this Diana, it looks like.
Going to be the first Diana of the season. Nope, Graves.
Okay,
well,
could be Graves. So, I mean, that could be a mid lane Graves or a top Graves.
Yep. Now, they've shown nothing by selecting the Graves.
But so far,
it's worth noting, though, Ixu has not played top lane Graves this season. So this would be his first attempt at that champion. So it would be out of the ordinary for the Freaks, but
yeah,
this always a possibility.
It's more than likely going to be the top Gragas with the jungle Graves. And there it is, the hover over the J4 just to screw with us, but in the end, it's going to be Azir for Saucin, his certainly most consistent and best performing champion in the latter half of this season.
So they do move Corki to AD carry and pick the mid lane Azir, and they balance it out with the Kindred for some attack damage. He played Yasuo into the Azir matchup last time, but it didn't make a whole lot of sense because Windwall doesn't block Azir's abilities.
Yeah, it just stops the soldiers from moving beyond the wind wall.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, I thought we said that it does.
No, it does not.
Oh. Well, then I don't know anymore. So maybe Mickey just really likes Yasuo. But the Twisted Fate would certainly make sense. Now the Fizz hover. It's locked to TF, I'd say.
Yeah, TF to dodge around those Sand Soldiers early, but if you don't ban it out, there's always that possibility that Mickey is going to grab it, and that is going to be the pick of the Twisted Fate.
Yep, and it looks like it will be Graves jungle for Lyra, so Ixu playing as Gragas yet again.
Yep. Well, it's been working for them so far, and he's got that little bit of extra sustain in lane to match the passive from the Maokai.
Yep.
And he's been pretty on point with his barrels and his team fighting. Has some good crowd control with the body slam to set up for Mickey to get into his lane and perhaps get a gank. They have the Cosmic Binding and the On the Hunt in the bottom side to chase down people. So another pick composition from Afreeca. And you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This is how they won against KT. Just setting up for hard picks and then playing around, getting kills, and then transitioning them into objectives rather than going for pure team fighting. SBENU, though, going with a poke comp, really good siege that they've concocted for themselves here with the Kindred Azir and the Corki. So if they get group as 5, might be a little bit challenging for the Afreeca Freecs to engage upon them. But at least I like the Bard a lot here because it buys you time to use the On the Hunt to get in the face of your opponents.
Yep. Looks like this is really, for the side of SBENU at least, going to come down to Flawless. And whether or not he can live up to his name in the jungle, create some early pressure against Afreeca, or if Lyra is going to take off. We're going to find out as we get ready to go into Game 1.
Everybody wants to rule the world. There's a room where the light won't find you. Holding
All right, well, pretty evenly split crowd.
Oh, you're right. The Conquering Sands will stop when encountering the wind wall. So,
Aha!
yeah, technically, so it operates like a like the Oriana ball or the sapling, where they're not considered units while en route until they hit the ground. So if the Sand Soldiers are moving, they are not units while moving. Therefore, they will stop when encountering the wind wall. So,
All right.
or unbreakable. So that's a very unusual interaction, but was part of that matchup that we saw last time. Mickey chose the Yasuo. It still wasn't great, you gotta say.
No, it was not. It was pretty far from it. But this time, going back to the Twisted Fate, so maybe we'll get another Twisted Fate versus Kindred 1v1 in the top lane. This time against Flawless. So, we'll see. Looks like SBENU going to go for a little invade here into the top side of Afreeca's jungle, but they're spotted out by a ward, so Snowflower and Songyun going to very much know that this is occurring.
No.
Oh boy, secret. Don't go that way.
Okay, so he's smart. He doesn't go that way.
Oh wait, Nuclear might not be though.
Oh no.
And Snowflower sets up for the stun. This is going to force a flash out of Nuclear, probably into the Baron Pit. He's trying to run back to Secret, throws out the Q. It's just going to be the heal.
But it's also going to be the levels too, because now they have to walk all the way back around to get into the top side. So they dropped the when you don't see them there and you drop the ward over into the Krugs, you cannot walk into that tri-brush because you don't see them in the top lane. Therefore, you're taking a very large risk by face checking that brush, especially without your support there. So
yeah,
SBENU actually gets away with not that much of a loss, considering that I mean, it's harsh. They lost their heal and their potion.
Yeah.
The biscuit on the AD carry, but it's not as bad as it could have been.
Yeah, it could have resulted in a first blood for sure, but still just
probably not.
Bad
He would
decision-making.
have just flashed into the Baron Pit, but not having flash would be pretty brutal. And now you can see level 2 for Songyun, playing at a level disadvantage, and this is not going to be good.
Yeah, this is setting a bad precedent for what could be about to occur in this series for SBENU. So rough stuff. We can see Snowflower just keeping him zoned away from experience, throwing out those meeps and harassing the hell out of Secret.
It's a penguin, it's not a meep. Got it.
Oh, okay, it's a meat penguin. That's even That's cruel. He's just throwing
Penguins.
Just fastballing penguins
Hey,
into a
how
brawl.
do you know that throwing a penguin is more cruel than throwing a meep? You're just judging because you know what a penguin is in real life. Maybe meeps are hyper-intelligent creatures that should not be thrown when penguins should.
Okay. Well, let's just agree that Bard throwing things, he is a cruel man, person, celestial being thing.
But we know he's totally apathetic and he just runs around, you know, taking random artifacts and then vanishing, so.
Just,
Bard's ethics already in question, really.
yeah, he's just an odd character. Leaves his lane just whenever he wants, just to wander around, pick up more meeps so he can throw them at
He picks
people.
up chimes.
Chimes.
I don't know how chimes turn into meeps,
Well,
though.
picking up the chimes gets him more meeps, so.
Are meeps attracted by chimes?
He must be. He's like baiting these creatures so that he can murder them by throwing them into the face of his enemies.
Yeah. Well, like most things in League of Legends, when you actually stop to think about it, the ethical implications are quite severe. It's a pretty messed up place, Summoner's Rift.
Yep. I mean, some of them have some, are okay, I guess. They're just kind of dealing with being in a battle arena.
I mean, it is
Twisted Fate is just Gambit.
It is fundamentally gladiatorial combat, so you have to decide whether that's okay first.
Yeah.
Where people die horrible and violent deaths over and over again. It's like Sisyphus.
I think historically we
Or,
moved away from it.
Prometheus, rather. That's what I meant. I got my Greek mythology mixed up. That rarely happens. I'm so embarrassed.
I'm ashamed of you. I don't want to be sitting next to you anymore. How dare you? I'll forgive it just this one time.
That's the one thing I'm supposed to do right as an English major, Achilles.
See, Mickey goes for a fast back. He's going to go with Catalyst of the Protector here on the Twisted Fate. So Rod of Ages is going to be coming out.
Yeah, I think he just wants to sustain. You can see it. He's having a hard time avoiding all of these Sand Soldiers. Taking a lot of early damage. Sasa, though, with the cleanse.
Oh, here comes Flawless. Already uses the gold card. Now getting slowed out. He will be able to get out alive. Doesn't have to use the flash at all. But that's going to be Sasa maybe going back. We'll see if he completes that channel and what he's going to go as far as his build.
It's blocked there on the Boomerang Blade, keeping Nuclear somewhat safe. And it looks like SBENU's lane has stabilized, but Afreeca can continue to play aggressive. They have the Bard Shrines. They have the potion advantage. So anything they get will be quite useful. Lyra.
You know, I just noticed that the shrines are, it's just a cup of like cocoa with some like sugar going into it.
No, it's a marshmallow.
Or marshmallow, whatever it is. It's a
Yep.
big white cube-ish looking thing.
You don't need more sugar in cocoa. You need a delicious marshmallow.
Maybe, well, all right, Bard's a weird guy. Maybe he just like, he has a sugar tooth, man.
Well, marshmallow should satisfy that too, don't you?
All
think?
right, one giant marshmallow.
It's like,
See,
it's like you've never had hot chocolate
Well,
before.
no, see, I take my hot chocolate with the mini marshmallows.
I take
so-
my hot chocolate with brandy.
Touche.
There you go.
Also not a marshmallow. I don't know if Riot would feel confident enough to just have just a bottle of brandy being submerged into a cup of cocoa.
You don't put the bottle of brandy in there. It
No,
should
no,
just
no.
like appear over and then pour
Just
some brandy
a
in
shot
it.
glass just tipping slowly. I think you just put the whole bottle in. Turn it upside down. You get one of those little stands for it, like on a, I can't remember the name of those margaritas with the Coronas that just like are pouring into it constantly.
Those are gross.
Yeah, but it's like that, but a giant bottle of brandy just pouring into the cocoa.
Why do you need a Corona in your margarita? Margaritas are perfectly fine on your own.
I don't know. Why do you need a Corona? Full stop.
I agree with you.
That's the end of that sentence. Unless you're in Mexico, there's no reason to drink a Corona.
No, there's still no reason.
They're 25
They
cents
have
there.
Negra Modelo in Mexico.
Okay. Touche.
And
I
Modelo
guess.
Especial. Those are both superior.
A fair point.
Well, standard lanes. Oh boy.
That it is. And who'd have thunk it? The standard lanes are not netting us a wildly exciting game with 40 kills at 15 minutes, it would seem. So we are halfway there and have no kills on the board.
Yep. Deep ward in the lane just to keep track of Mickey's movements. If he's going to feint to either side and start to threaten any kind of TP movement now that he is post level 6, but not going for anything yet, not really finding many opportunities. I mean, his top lane is already sort of controlling the tempo and going to go ahead and pick up a Cole now.
Yep. Well, he hasn't been able to clear the waves as effectively because he didn't have a damage item, went for the Catalyst first. So now he's got the blasting one, so maybe now we'll see him moving because he can just red card the backline, throw out the wild cards, and then maybe roam down without missing too much CS. But for now, he's been pretty stuck in this lane with Sawson, who's just going for the Nashor's Tooth. Already has the Stinger completed.
Okay, so actually taking a look at this, SBENU is going to respond to seeing the Gragas reassigned to the top lane by immediately going for the Rift Herald, but we don't see any movement over to the Dragon yet.
Yep.
Lyra was actually recalling right now to buy his Warrior enchantment, so what's the move going to be? Rift Herald should be immediately useful for pushing into this top lane onto the tier 1. Afreeca readjusting right now, starting to cut that minion wave, and they know nobody's up there. Flawless now joining up in that lane to help out with the push when the next wave comes.
Yep. And now the ping's coming out here from Lyra, so it looks like they will just rotate over to this Dragon after trading towers in the top and bot side.
A good adjustment though by SBENU on the lane swap, just to go ahead and get that faster Herald.
Yeah, I have to make some kind of move.
So now the question is, can they go for a tier 2?
Well, Ixu's still there, does have the explosive cask, and should be able to effectively clear the wave if they decide to push in just by throwing it out. So
they're not going to take that risk.
Yeah.
Mickey falling back there, and we saw the pretty quick recall from Snowflower actually just stopped DPSing on the Dragon to make sure he could get there in time.
Yep.
Also had his ultimate, crucially, so he didn't even have to be there to stop any kind of dive that was going to happen. He could have just fired that off and then tried to save Ixu if he was going to get dove.
Yep.
So
this is a little bit interesting. So the Rod of Ages gets completed by Mickey.
Really fast, really fast.
Yeah. Cole comes in for Songyud, not matched by Nuclear. But the big thing that's interesting is that Flawless has gone for the Tracker's Knife rather than the Skirmisher Saber on this Kindred. So this is the second time we saw this week. And it's just a little interesting because you would expect, especially going up against a Graves in the jungle, that you would want that Skirmisher Saber to just mitigate that damage and win out in those trades.
Uh-oh. Well, this is not going well now for SBENU. They are delayed, and Afreeca coming up and investing into the top side with Ixu just 4-manning.
Yeah. Well, they're not going to be able to get this tower quite just yet, but they do get some good harass down on it. They're pinging for Nuclear to continue, so they might just trade those turrets.
The denial much better. Mickey going somewhere.
Yeah, Mickey going to the bot side. Going to try to save this one. And that's going to be the TP burned out.
So they were waiting to TP for Mickey until everybody got to the mid lane so they would have some presence there and not get pushed in. But they really delay that TP. Mickey loses his TP because he can't get that turret, and it ends up just being slightly too late for the Afreeca Freecs. If they had committed to the rotation into the mid lane earlier, they could have actually saved that turret, but instead they stayed for an extra wave, and that didn't give them enough time to save it. That's a little bit... Could have played that better, certainly, Afreeca. They could have traded one turret for nothing right there and denied that entire wave into the tier 2.
Yep. So, bit of a misstep, gives SBENU a little bit more breathing room. And Afreeca barely have a lead in this game so far. It's just the CS really creating some differences. SBENU did have that Rift Herald, so they netted a little bit from that. But as we move forward, Dragons could prove to be a problem if Afreeca continues stacking those up.
Yeah, that's going to be the big thing to look at here. And Afreeca, if they can control the vision, which they have not done on this bottom side right now, they need to start clearing out these wards because it's quite important that they get a vision advantage so that they can effectively make these picks. They have so many ways to close that gap very quickly, whether it's a TF ultimate or a Sivir ultimate or just throwing the Bard ult out and then using one of those two other abilities just to get on top of them by the time they exit stasis.
Well, looks like Lyra going to take away this red buff for himself. Secret comes over, but he's not going to be able to get it. So just going to be another little invasion by Lyra, who is trying to inch ahead as far as CS goes. But Flawless is pretty much hot on his heels, which is going to be good for his sake, as he, of course, went the Devourer build rather than the Warrior. We'll see how long it takes him to get.
Oh.
Saucin tries to go in for the Shurima Shuffle, cannot get it, but Wallace arrives, and Mickey's taking a lot of damage. He's going to have to back off. Draws the yellow card, catches Saucin. The hamster spike comes down for Mickey. Saucin nowhere to go. He's going to get popped. First blood going over to Ixu on the Gragas, and this should be enough of an opening for them to get some good damage in on this turret.
Mickey didn't even have to flash for that in the end.
Yep.
So just a misplay there in the mid lane, not quite clipping him with the edge. And also, even if he had gotten him, I mean, Afreeca was already prepared just to stack up in the mid lane. Ixu was coming down to help out. And so they're going to lose the mid turret. They deny just a small amount of CS in this top side. That's a minor victory for the Afreeca Freecs, but they get the first blood. They come out with a 2,000 gold advantage.
Yep. And that's going to be the Rift Herald, so going to inch a little bit more gold on top as they clear this out. We'll see who takes the buff. Could be Ixu, but it's actually going to be Songyun. So he takes that one and is likely going to return back to that bottom lane and keep it pushed toward that tier 2 turret.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see. He's holding out right now. What's he waiting for?
He's not showing anything yet.
All right.
Just coming back toward mid, it looks like.
Interesting build he's got going on there. Not sure why he needs that crit cloak so early, but okie dokie. Yeah, he's just going to come into the mid lane now and try and continuously push this up. That's where he should be with both TPs up. It'd be great, obviously, to have that Rift Herald and try and make a play on a tier 2, but he can always just push up the mid lane and then walk through enemy jungle while Gragas or Twisted Fate slowly pushes up. But
yeah,
you really want to use the 1-3-1 split here if you're the Afreeca Freecs, especially considering Mickey is did buy the Sheen, has the Aether Wisp, but probably going into the Lich Bane.
Yeah. Speaking of an interesting build, 2 daggers in the inventory of Nuclear for this Corki. So not going for the typical, Infinity Edge. Sometimes we've seen the Essence Reaver as well come out as a second item, but going for maybe a Rapid Fire Cannon second?
Yeah, could be if he's...
For the Kerchase Shard and the Zeal.
Yeah,
but just
that is weird.
Very bizarre to see that come out. But SBENU going to group up a little bit in this mid lane.
Sometimes you do see Rapid Fire Cannon second on Corki, and he may be concerned. He can outrange the Sivir and the Grays if he does that. SBENU just collapsing immediately onto this. Gate going to come down just to give some vision right now.
Yep. Oh, Nuclear gets caught by the Bard ultimate. Secret comes back in over the wall. Hits them all into the back of the pit with the cast.
Mickey cannot respond to this.
Yeah, Mickey, he does have the teleport available, but nowhere really to go. Magical Journey gets Snowflower out. Nice stun. We'll lock up the remaining members, and they're just buying time for Mickey to continue this push on the top side. So
yeah, it looks like
good damage in.
Yeah, they're going to just actually try and trade this. They also have a big wave in the mid lane, so that distraction was really well done by the Afreeca Freecs. They get 2 turrets out of it. So Mickey, let's talk about that. Mickey pops his ultimate, and then he just starts to go into the enemy jungle. So they think that he might be coming. So SBENU starts to get a little bit scared. He's weaving in and out of the lane, in and out of vision. They're going to try and engage now, though, with the TP, but the Magical Journey already used. Soul
on the backside. Let's see who he can lock down. It's going to have to be Ixu. Goes deep with him as he follows off the body slam. Slows him up with the sap lane. But meanwhile, Mickey is just going for the inhibitor turret. Gets stunned out of that Magical Journey. And Afreeca Freecs get out scot-free. Mickey, with the TP available, is going to be able to get out as well. So get some solid damage into that turret. Unfortunately, couldn't finish it off, but really well played by Afreeca.
Yeah, that was actually some great map pressure and mind games coming in from the Afreeca Freecs. They knew that Mickey's CP was available too, so they were constantly worried. And the call was very clear from, because watch this, watch what Mickey's going to do. He's going to wander into the jungle right there, then back out. Of course, they can't see him, there aren't any wards, and the rest of his team just playing that distraction. Mickey coming through, looking like he might engage, and so that keeps them scared. Afreeca uses the ultimate from Sivir just to go ahead and get out. They also have the Magical Journey should they need to escape even further, and SBENU gets given the runaround basically, and they lose a turret and take nearly an inhibitor turret for it as well. So Afreeca playing SBENU like a fiddle right there.
They almost lost the mid tier 2 as well. That one took a substantial amount of damage. I think it's got about 30% left on it.
Yeah, really nicely done by Afreeca. Great trade for that dragon.
Yep. 4 down, they know exactly where they are. Lyra get jumped on as Flawless comes over the wall. Actually gets it with the collateral damage. Nice by Ixu. Clips Secret as he wanders off of the Lamb's Respite. Flawless caught up here by that ultimate. Here comes Mickey on the backside, just ripping through them. Magical Journey to follow up onto Sasan. Can they find it? The gold card goes through. He cleanses it off, however, but this should be the turret going down. Just that blue card would be enough to finish it off, I believe.
Nice Cosmic Binding. You have to be really respectful of Lyra here. Is still around the backside. Do end up finding him with a Trinket Ward.
Oh, he's going to go in on Assassin, who misses the Emperor's Divide yet again. Lyra just dashing and juking out of the way. And now the Sand Tower falling. This turret looking
Mickey's
like
back
it's going
to split pushing.
Yep, and Mickey is just going to keep being a menace all over the map. Now whittling down this tier 2, and it looks like he's going to be able to get this with relative ease.
Wow. Afreeca playing this game quite well, actually. And SBENU has shown that they're not actually, in spite of their record, they're not a slouch in the first 20 minutes of the game. Against many teams, they've been able to trade cross-map very effectively, but the shot calling here from the Afreeca Freecs is just spinning them in circles. They have no idea what to do to stop this. They lose the team fight. They haven't gotten a kill. And now all the towers are really adding up. So they kite this one out. Lyra gets caught out a little bit, but doesn't get Braum stunned in the front. They try and boost everybody out of the Lamb's Respite. Then they come back. Mickey shows up at the back line, finishes off the Corki, who can't stay on the Lamb's Respite for the heal. And Mickey's going to use his flash here, forces both summoners out of Sasan. And they have to go back and kill the Azir turret in the mid lane, so at least it saves that tier 2 for a small amount of time, but it does end up falling in the end. And now it's an 8,000 gold lead pre-20 minutes, and they're just going to go for, you know what? Well, nope, they can't get to the Rift Herald in time.
Well, no, they're going to go for the Baron maybe here.
Maybe.
As it spawns in 6 seconds. They should have known that the Rift Herald was going to die, but
I don't.
They could bait this at least. There's no vision in this area.
Yeah, I don't think you can actually go for the Baron this early on.
We saw Afreeca almost, or SBENU almost do it.
Okay, that was different. That was Azir release, so different champions. Got to have the right team composition to be able to do that super quickly.
Sivir Grapes is a decent amount. Krakus to tank up, but yeah,
it's easier when you can tank some of the Baron with the Elise Spiderlings,
That's true,
right?
yeah, the
it's a lot
Spiderlings
less
are there.
risk. And if you get the 3 like Sand Soldiers attacking the Baron at the same time, it does disgusting damage.
Yep, very true.
And really, Afreeca, they don't need the Baron to win this game. They've got a split push going on that not a lot of answers to for SBENU, especially with Mickey being pretty far ahead right now.
Yep. Would have just created an opportunity for SBENU to possibly find a way back into the game. So
the dagger mystery continues, by the way, on Nuclear, who has gone for the Sork Shoes for more poke damage.
Completed the boots to their tier 2. And the dagger's still there. Well, that's going to be
a seal. So yeah, I think you're right. It will be a rapid fire cannon.
Yeah, which is just a very interesting item
for
him to pick up.
I think against Sivir and against Graves, he just wants that little bit of extra range so that he has an ability to damage them more effectively.
It could, I mean, I don't know. It could be a static shiv as well for more wave clear, but I don't know how I feel about that. Solo getting engaged on stun, not going to connect. They use on the hunt, but they flash away from the Maokai, so backline that much safer.
I'll tell you how I feel about it. Really bad.
Fair enough.
Too much magic damage. Snowflower already has the Aegis, and that would mean that Corki auto attacks would not be really very effective.
Yep.
And it would put a lot of stress onto Flawless.
Oh boy, here comes Mickey into the mid lane. It's going to be the gold card going through Sasan, being kept alive right now by the Lamb's Respite. Looks like he might get out. No! Lyra with a nice collateral damage finishes him off right as he wanders off of that. And with the mid laner down, the question becomes, what is Afreeca going to take? Could be the Dragon, could be the Baron this time around.
You can bait the Baron right now. They have no vision whatsoever. They have one blue trinket onto Nuclear to try and scout this out. Gonna have to use it sooner rather than later.
Yep.
Afreeca not gonna find anything.
Yep.
There it is.
He throws it out. This is gonna be Snowflower going in the Magical Journey. The rest of the team following him. Gets a slow onto Soul. Can they get the catch? Does not look like it.
Let's go back.
So yeah, just go do the thing. Sasan's coming up in 5 seconds, so maybe they just want to play a little bit safer, but I'd say just go start it.
10,000 gold, huge lead at 22 minutes for Afreeca. And credit to this team. They have, late in this season, found a very functional identity for themselves as a pick comp skirmish team. And they play Twisted Fate better than just about anybody in this league. Their coordination has been on point this game. They gave SBENU the runaround. So
Yeah.
Afreeca, they started out really hurting, but now they've shown they can hang with some of the teams at the top of the standings and actually close games, which has been their problem. They're number 3 at early leads, gold leads in 15 minutes in this league, but they have the record they do because they haven't been able to close. Well, this is, the last few weeks, we've seen way better closure and way better late game and map play from the Freaks, and that's translated into a lot of wins.
Yeah, for sure. Unfortunately, weren't able to get that second win against SKT. They would have been the first team to beat SKT in both rounds, rather than Rock Tigers. So unfortunately, weren't able to claim that title for themselves.
They still took another game off of them.
Yeah.
That's still good.
They put up a fight, so it was still very strong. But yeah, like you said, this is a team that has grown so much since the beginning of the season. SBENU as well, just fortunately for them, not at the rate that Afreeca has grown. They still seem to lack an identity as to what kind of composition they can really pull off well.
Okay, well, back to Mickey split pushing. He's been successful in setting up the plays to this point in the game. They're getting to the point where they can really start to commit to doing this Baron. Trying to keep the wards up, but they got to clear out a couple pinks. A lot of pinks this game. SBENU's vision has actually been pretty good. They've been able to get a lot of pinks and hold them for a long time, which has given them some pretty valuable information. Afreeca, though, they need to start. There are 4 pink wards in the enemy jungle, and they have pressure on 3 lanes. They need to start clearing these out.
Yeah. Looks like Mickey goes back to buy. He's got the Zonias completed on top of the Lich Bane and the Boots of Lucidity, so constantly going to be throwing up those cards. And looks like he's just going to go back to this bottom side. The rest of the team could bait out the Baron, perhaps. He have his Teleport and Destiny available. So a couple options available for how Afreeca want to play this, but so far they're just still sticking with the very conservative and methodical style.
Well, they just want to use a magical journey to get another pick. They have so many tools to engage these fights. The Gragas Barrel, everything, just really long-range engage for the Freaks, so that'll give Mickey enough time to get in and to help his team complete the kill. But they're not biting yet. Soul has TP too. So he's going to be down here with his Spirit Visage. Mickey will struggle. Actually deal damage to the Maokai, and now they're going to double back and clear out yet another blue trinket ward.
Just wait till he's trying to deal damage to the Maokai on 6.6.
Oh boy, my favorite.
It'll be so horrendous for Mickey, for anybody that deals magic damage that wants to try to take down a Maokai. It's Corky's going to be that much less effective against him as well. Looks like we're going to have this split still just coming up.
Well, there's no
across all
reason.
lanes.
There's no reason for Afreeca to do anything else. They can play this game all day, and eventually they're going to find an opening. As at some point or other, they're going to have to face check this Baron, or they're just going to do it.
Well, they're just going to go ahead and start this up. Snowflower playing forward. On the hunt gets popped. Let's see where Mickey arrives. Has not channeled the Destiny yet. Coming in straight in the thick of things here. Throws out the gold card onto Nuclear. Nice. Zonia's immediately. Ixu has to come over the wall to try to keep him alive. Meanwhile, on the other side, it's going to be Saucin and Flawless falling. Lamb's Respite not doing enough to keep him up. The TP just to the other side of the lane to cut off the rest of them. The gold card drawn. He's not going to be able to get onto this chase without some severe slow coming in. Flashes actually catch a secret. Unbreakable is up. Looks like he might not go down. He does not, and Lyra barely stays alive. But that's 3 members down on the side of SBENU, and likely the inhibitor line being broken here at 27 minutes.
Yeah, SBENU actually did a really good job of separating, or Afreeca did a good job of separating SBENU in the jungle, because they caught 2 people with the Bard ultimate early on in that fight, and even though the Lamb's Respite went down, they were still isolated, had to stay in place or they were going to die. It only bought them time, and Mickey, with the gold card engaged straight into the Zonias. Ixu, now watch this. So we're going to see Ixu flash here and throw the cask into Saucin and Flawless. There's the Bard ultimate. Gold card immediately onto Nuclear. They have to wait there. Meanwhile, SBENU just has 2 very low members that are going to get soloed out on that side. And Soul, really the last one left in that little melee. He has to stick around to try and save Nuclear. Mickey optimistic TP and flash at the end of that one, but Seoul is cleaned up nonetheless, and they are able to get their first inhibitor of the game. That's a major win. Afreeca just divide and conquer right there, and especially with the gold lead that they have, fighting these skirmishes pretty easy for them.
Aha! I was right. It's a static shiv for Corky.
Well, I guess.
So how did you describe it?
I just
Very bad?
It's not very bad, but I just don't think it's. I don't know why you would build Trinity 4 static shiv.
Neither do I. Oh, Sasan goes in, gets a pick on the Ixu, but he's still a very tanky Gragas, and the rest of Afreeca are benching in from the sidelines. Nuclear, Sasan are so low. Lambs Respite there in the Bard ultimate, keeping him alive, but here comes Lyra on the backside, finishes off Nuclear, and the rest of the team is just crumbling. Secret, the only one limping out of there. And Afreeca, they don't even care about this Baron. They're just going to charge straight down the lanes and take as many inhibitors and towers as they possibly can.
Yeah, shove it in. They might actually be able to end the game right here. Here comes the TP from Ixu. They have a Iceborne and a Lichbane, so they probably could just cut through these towers with the Sivir too.
Yeah, already down to half HP, and Lyra joining the fray. First one going to fall. That's going to be the game as these Nexus turrets do go down. Unfortunate for Secret, not able to do anything as the base just crumbles around him. So, and under 30 minutes, Afreeca with a very crushing performance over top of SBENU.
I really like that we're seeing Afreeca commit to these pick compositions. They've learned how to play the map a lot better. Yes, it's only a win over SBENU, but we can't discount the fact that these guys are well on their way to their third best-of-3 win in a row, KT and Samsung falling in their last couple of matches.
Not to mention the decision-making that they're
it's
showing
really
in that
good.
match is just phenomenal. Trading out so many objectives for little to no loss.
Yeah, only one death that game too. Safe split pushing from the Afreeca Freecs.
Yep.
Consistent pressure. Mickey showing off his Twisted Fate once again, and most importantly, his team playing around his split push, because that's been the problem.
Yep. Solid stuff from Afreeca, and it's just looking grim for SBENU as to whether or not they'll be able to take a game off of them.
Sasan didn't have the best Azir game. It actually has been one of his better champions, but a little bit off.
I think that was actually his worst Azir game that he's played this season.
Yeah.
0-4-1. Not very good. The damage lines were not there as well for him. So it was a very rough performance overall by the members of SBENU. And unfortunately, they just get shut out of that first game, only able to kill Snowflower. And it just sets up Afreeca for a 2-0. We're going to find out if that happens when we come back from our break.